Hello everyone, we're the Big Red SN guys alongside Jordan Washington. I'm Wesley Williams. We're here to preview Lamar's upcoming game against Abilene Christian this Saturday. Now Jordan, Lamar is coming off a tough game against Sam Houston, but they know they can't dwell on the negatives. They got to move forward against another tough opponent in Abilene Christian. Tell us what Lamar needs to do in order to come out with the victory this weekend.
Well, you know, Wesley, it begins with the mindset. They have to have that next play mentality. They have to go into the game in Abilene believing that they can win it. They have to leave the Sam Houston game in Beaumont and move on, to be honest with you. As far as a physical play standpoint, they have to get out there. Once again, it'll be more of the same with the battle of the line of scrimmage. But this time, instead of being prepared for a lot of those short swing passes or slants, you have to be prepared for the running game. They're going to be going up against a ferocious offensive line of ACU and ex-Lamar player Herschel Sims, who has been battling some injuries, but he may be due to come back this week. So you have to prepare for the run mainly. Also, you also have to be on the lookout for a little bit of the pass too, because their quarterback Parker McKenzie has been setting the conference on fire so far. I mean, in his opening 2 conference games, he's thrown for over 700 yards. So, I mean, it's definitely something to be aware of.
And with that preparation, this is the first time Lamar has ever faced Abilene. Other than running game and passing game, what other things, also from probably a defensive standpoint, do they want to look for?
Well, you know, as far as the cards, well, you know, one thing that they need to look for defensively from their guys is making sure you're in the right spot at the right time. A lot of times the guys can really get lost in the schemes and in coverage sometimes, and that can't happen. If you're in your zone, you have to make sure that you cover your area, and that's your #1 priority. You can't get caught up in someone else's assignment. You have to do your job, and if they can do that, they should be fine.
And while you're focusing on jobs, here's a job I want Lamar's offense to focus on: keeping hold of the ball. Lamar had 4 turnovers in the last game against Sam Houston, and they cannot afford to have turnovers, especially against a good team like Abilene.
Yeah, you know, there's no room for mistakes. When you're out there on the field, you have to maximize all opportunities. But the thing that jumps out to me now that we're speaking of turnovers, you have to force some on the other team. As of late, the Cardinals have been doing a pretty bad job of coughing the ball up for the other squad. You know, you got to make sure that you can make a play on the ball, whether it's an interception or whether it's the running back maybe getting a punch at the ball a little bit or a jab or two. You got to force turnovers, and if you can do that and then on the other end convert offensively, we already know the weapons that the Cards have. You can win a game that way.
Exactly. And we're also holding on to the rock, forcing these turnovers. That will also probably take a lot of pressure off their defense to where they're not on the field as much, because Lamar's defense was on the field, seemed like all game against Sam Houston, because Lamar's offense, they missed a lot of opportunities. They had some times to score, but they failed to convert when it really mattered most. And it will be very big for them to convert against Abilene. I feel like the one way we can beat them is to keep their high-flying offense off the field.
Yeah, you know, you got to make sure that they can't get it going. But just the thing to note, too, the offense has been phenomenal and not taking anything away from a very hungry Abilene Christian team. But the opening 2 conference opponents was Incarnate Word and Houston Baptist, which are 2 new additions to the Southland Conference. Very young teams, very unmatured teams. So there's a little wiggle room for the Cards, I think, as far as talent goes, because it's a smaller gap between them and ACU as compared to ACU and the HBU or an Incarnate Word once more. So we should be fine going out there at Abilene.
Yeah, and Abilene is just as new as those 2 teams are. It's just that Abilene was a very dominant D2 school before they made the jump up to Southland Conference. But they've also played a pretty tough schedule. They had Georgia Southern. They only came up on a 3-point loss. But Abilene has showed that he can play in this conference, and Lamar will be an excellent test for them. And I do believe that we can come out on top with the victory. We just got to focus on the little things, hold on to the ball, and make sure that everyone is doing their job.
And, you know, if we can do all of that and stay focused, we should come out of Abilene with the win. Thanks, everyone, for watching at home. I'm Jordan, and for Wesley, we're the Big Red SN guys. Stay in the game.